Aki does have a light ACOS as the outcome changes based on hit and block. On hit versus on block. So some things you could do with it. On hit, the auto combo comes out, but on block, you could do DI. You could do drive rush. If you space it, you can go for poison ball. There's also a weird rule on Modern where if you're holding assist and you try to do a super, it won't do it. But if you try to cancel it, it will still work while you're holding assist. So something you could do is on hit, you'll go into super. The damage is pretty pitiful. It's about 3,000. But on block, you could go for something else. It's not the best auto combo because the damage is pretty low. Her medium auto combo is pretty strong. On hit, goes into super, does a lot of damage. On block, however, it knows to not do anything. It does leave an opening to frame trap though, and will know to go into level 2. So if you got meter burn, you can space with it and maybe catch them pressing a button. All right, pressed it the first time. Free pressure. Well, not free, costs 2 bar, but pretty good pressure. Now she does have a heavy auto combo option select, but you have to make sure to space it as you're punishable, but you can space it. And actually you can get a whiff punish, but if they do press a button, you get that into here. Now the main issue is you can see the damage value, it's pretty low. I realized after recording you can get more damage off her heavy auto combo because you can do something like this. You normally don't have access to stand light kick, but you do during the auto combo on Modern. So you can do something like this. And you get a little more damage. And remember, you can do 1-button supers because of minimum damage scaling. You'll get the same damage. Here's some examples. We got drive impact universally versus on hit. Will go into auto combo. You can also drive rush. Into throw. Careful with drive rush, you are interruptible. So you can interrupt it. You can honestly mash the out of medium auto combo and get something. Right into level 2. It also works if it just hits. Works if I press a button after blocking. So you can mash it. Here's a little cross-up string I came up with using both auto combos. On hit, goes to level 2. About 3,400 damage. I press a button in between the fireball. 3,400 damage. Uh-oh, if I press a button again. Level 3. If you do it optimally, as I showed earlier, and not in this clip, you get 4,700 damage. I think her medium auto combo is definitely the strongest. Akuma's light AC is not an option select. Same thing happens both on hit and block. It is unsafe on block, but you can frame trap with it. You almost always want to buffer or something, whether it's drive impact, maybe it's a fireball, maybe it's drive rush, but you always want to buffer just because he's -6. Now his heavy one is actually pretty complicated. So you can do 3 option selects instead of just 2. So if you do it on hit, obviously the auto combo comes out. On block, you can do drive impact. But what commonly happens is they'll actually trade, right? If you do this, you'll trade. And after that, you can do a stand medium kick. So actually, you want to do a 3rd option select where you're mashing medium kick. So you can do something like this. If they keep blocking, if they pressed a button. So just to prove it works, on hit, into the auto combo, on block, into drive impact, and on trade, continue the combo yourself. Blanka's heavy auto combo does do max damage meterless. But it's not a viable OS because it's very unsafe on block. Minus 21. Both his light and medium are auto combo option selects though. Nothing happens on block. And now his medium on hit. On block. Nothing happens. So you could do something simple as a command grab. You could do EX. You have to be careful though, because there's a 6-frame gap. So you need to do it off drive rush. So some examples, you could drive impact. If I keep blocking, but it'll go ahead and do electricity. I press a button. You could do command grab. It'll grab me. Same thing if I press a button. The punish counter actually. And if I press a button, I'll get counter hit. Or if I stop blocking. So there's a little bit of a space, so that's the third one. You can also combine it. It's a little meter expensive though. But it does frame trap, so if you're trying to win a round, it's not a bad idea. So I think Blanka's are okay. His command grab option select is pretty good. The main issue is that all of these don't really do much damage. But one thing I wanted to go over is with modern charge characters, you need to make sure that if you're doing motion inputs, you aren't holding charge. Because if I try to do the same input, if I hold charge, it's going to go ahead and do the charge move. So charge moves always take priority. For Cammy, both her light and medium are ACOSs. Special on hit. Nothing on block. Special on the super on hit. Nothing on block. So with both of these, you can go for different things. You could go for command grab. You can maybe go for other types of hooligan stuff. You could go for dive kick. You could also go for drive impact. Of course, it hit them there, so it didn't do anything. So it can go drive impact if they keep blocking. So they work the same. The medium one, the main issue is that you're minus on block, right? So you almost always want to drive rush it, but then you can frame trap. Her heavy auto combo is a little different. On hit, it works normally into super. They get a decent amount of damage, can add some with drive rush, but on block, she didn't do any dive kick. Instead, she goes for the target combo. She's minus 12, but you can do other things. You can go drive impact. You could go for a cross up, dive kick, hooligan, all that stuff. So there's some things you can do. One thing to note is that you can get jabbed out of this. So you do need to be careful. All right, on to some examples. So drive impact on block versus on hit. And it goes into spiral arrow. All right, let's do drive rush. So that'll work. And if I get hit, spiral arrow. Now I can interrupt it. It's pretty quick though. Well, just like most lights, they are interruptible. All right, let's try the medium. So you could do a command grab. You catch them there and go into what you want. That command grab does a little bit less damage because it is modern, but all the follow-ups do not do less damage. There's no scaling applied to them. Some other things you could do. You go for the overhead. And then the last one on hit. Into super. Did about 4,000 damage. Otherwise, it can go for a cross-up, and then you can also go for all those other things. The main thing I'll say about this is there isn't much of an advantage to it because you can kind of react yourself, right? Like, you'd be able to react in time to whether or not this hits, and then maybe you yourself do that. But the fact that it reacts for you is kind of nice. And the other thing is most of these are kind of fake. Like, all the hooligan stuff is fake. So, you know, fake pressure is still pressure, but it's beatable, right? They can still hit buttons. Chun-Li's light auto combo is not an ACOS because it does the same thing both on hit and block. Right, on hit versus block does the same thing. Her medium acts a little differently. So on hit, it'll continue and do one more. But if they block it, it doesn't let you do it. So like on classic, right, I could continue and I'd be minus 13. It doesn't let you continue. Now the thing is, you could react to this on whether or not it hit and then continue yourself. So it's definitely human reactable, but it's nice that it auto reacts for you. Now, if you have 2 bars, it'll automatically go into super on hit and do a decent amount of damage. You can do your own follow-ups though. In terms of damage, this is one of the best auto combos in the game. And of course, you can end the auto combo early and go for something else. May not be optimal, but much more. And if they stop blocking low, you'll clip them. Auto hit confirms for you. No reactions necessary. Problem though, is that you're punishable on block. -4. Because the ACOS is special cancelable, we can do many things. The least meter intensive is to make it safe with heavy legs or drive impact. Or drive impact. The issue is both of these are interruptible. We can make it safe with OD legs or fireball. Or we can drive rush cancel for more plus frames. I'm sure there's more damage you can do, but you get the point. And remember, at any point, if they hit a button, the auto combo comes out. There is one hole in this auto combo where that'll actually trade. If you get a drive rush though, you get a fuzzy low, which means they have to block low. They can't OD reversal here. So Dee Jay doesn't really have one because his light does the same thing both on hit and block. His light does the same thing. His heavy will go into super, but on block, it'll do nothing, but you'd also do nothing as a human. And it's also -8, so you wouldn't want to do it as pressure anyway. It'd be very risky. Now his medium version will do it for you, and it'll also continue the combo. He'll say okay and all that. The main issue though is that, well, it's not really an issue, but you can react yourself, right? Like if I do this, I can buffer it, and if it hits, there we go, I can do it myself. So yeah, he doesn't really benefit other than the auto reaction. It is -2, and if they press a button, it'll do the auto combo for you. So Sim has 2. First off, his light is not 1 as it does the same thing, both on hit and block. His heavy one is absolutely hilarious looking. If you're close enough, it'll do it. And if they do in fact hit a button, so if they do block and then hit a button, it will react. And the damage is absolutely absurd. The main thing though is it's not really the best because this is 17 frames. His medium one does kind of have a use. The thing is, it's a true block string, so they won't be able to press a button, but if you slightly delay it, you can catch a button And it'll only go into super, right, if they block the whole thing. So I really only have 2 for you. I'm sure there's a little more you can do, but off a jump in, catch me pressing a button, get some damage there. Or if you're up close, I mean, maybe there's a spacing trap here. I'll go into level 2, and of course, if I press a button, the game instantly knows. So Ed has 3. I'd say only 1 or 2 of them are effective. The heavy one will confirm, but that's something you could do, you know, on classic. It's also unsafe on block, but there's not really a use to it. His medium one will go into level 2. And actually, it'll do a bunch of stuff for you. And there's more you can do, of course. On block, nothing happens. You're -8. So actually, if you do use this, you want to use an ACOS, right? Where on block, maybe do a DI or you do a drive rush, because then that makes it safe, right? Otherwise, it's -8. So you have to do an ACOS here or you're going to be unsafe. The light version's an ACOS on hit. Go into a special while on block. Nothing happens. So you could do drive rush. You can do any of the other things other characters can do. And it does frame trap. So if they sometimes press a button, it will frame trap. And that's, of course, unreactable. That's something the game will do for you. Modern only. So here's some examples. Here's a simple pressure string. If I sit there and block, go for a throw. But if I try to press a button, it goes into it. So on hit, goes into the auto combo, but on block, goes for a throw. Now I can jab, of course, but it's still a string that you can pressure with. All right. You can also go for a drive rush. And you can interrupt it, though it's pretty tight. But you can do that, and on hit, it still does the auto combo. And of course, you can go into level 3 on hit, as long as you react. All right, this one is the medium auto combo, so on block it'll do a drive impact, but on hit, go into the auto combo. And you do a bunch of different stuff. So you can drive impact, and this will all frame trap, I believe. And then go into the auto combo, or what other combo you choose. And yeah. You can also make a safe with like a fireball, the light version. So those are some things you can do. So he's got some things. One last thing I want to mention, his medium auto combo is a true block string. So I can't press a button in between the target combo. So Honda effectively doesn't have any. First off, his light is not one, because both on hit and block, actually, it goes into hands, which is weird because a lot of characters, their special doesn't come out. The medium one will go into super and does a decent amount of damage, but on block, he does a -24 thing, so, you know, not the best to spam. And then his heavy one is technically an ACOS because, right, it'll confirm for you on hit and go into it, and then on block, right, it won't do it, it'll just repeat itself. So technically it is, but you're reacting to whether or not this hits, right? Like you can react there. So there's effectively no benefit to the ACOS because you could obviously do this on classic just as easy. So all 3 of Guile's auto combos are ACOSs. So this goes into a decent amount of damage if you're holding charge. You can go into level 3 and you can do the modern input too, get a decent amount of damage. And on block, it actually repeats, so it doesn't continue the combo. So something you could do against grapplers is you could mash a backdash so that on hit, the auto combo will eat the backdash input, but on block, you'll backdash or you might hit a button, but you got to time it right. In the examples later, I'll go over some options. So we went over the medium auto combo in the main video, but it's pretty good. On hit, goes into level 1, and you can continue it into OD flash kick if you want. You don't have to. So it's pretty nice because a lot of auto combos will require meter, but this only requires a super meter. And if you don't have meter, you'll actually go in the regular flash kick. So if I get rid of this, and I do it, and go into flash kick. So it's a meterless auto combo, which is not very common. So that's really good. And what's so good about it is it frame traps, right? So if I set him to crouch light kick, it frame traps. And you'll actually get more damage if you do the OD flash kick after. So it's a very strong frame trap. The heavy one is the simplest. It either works or doesn't. So on hit, we'll go into level 3. Get a decent amount of damage. While on block, nothing actually happens. And you're +3 off the Sonic Boom. And for these auto combos, you don't have to be holding charge. So you can just be walking and it'll do it for you. And what's really good about this is that if I set him to block all and then set crouch light kick, it frame traps. And I don't know about you, I am not going to be able to react to whether or not they press a button, right? I'm not reacting to whether or not that hits, but I don't have to. The game will do it for you. So it's kind of nice in that sense. So here's a simple one with the heavy version. If I block the whole thing, maybe do another Sonic Boom. But if I press a button, goes into super. Same thing if I just did hit. Goes right into the super. So, little bitty string. Here's the light. So, if I get hit, it goes into it. So, and then if I try to go for an SPD and not mess it up, you can backdash it. So there's some little tricks you can do. So that's all free, but if I press the button at any point, it goes right into the auto combo. At any point. And it can be very late, so it's very scary to hit a button. Here's some meter dump pressure. Can't press a button there. Catches me. Caught me. I can press a button there. Oh, that'll go into level 3. And a level 3. So it's a very scary pressure string. And there's definitely more you can explore on your own. So his light ACOS is like a lot of characters. On hit, it'll go into a combo, but on block, it does nothing. So you can do a DI, you can into throw. So all those different things you can do. And it does frame trap, so if they press a button, it will react for you. Obviously, that's not reactable, but on Modern, the game will do it for you. The medium one acts differently on hit and block. On hit, goes into level 2. It's got its own pre-programmed follow-up. Decent damage. On block, it does nothing. You are safe. You're -3, so you can feel free to use it. And it is a true block string, so if they try to press a button on the second hit, it won't work, but still pretty good. His heavy version's in ACOS. And get decent damage off a basic follow-up. And on block, it'll do nothing. But it does frame trap. If they try to press a button, it'll auto-confirm for you. You yourself don't have to react. It's a little bit less damage, but it is a frame trap. Some examples. So off throw, I can jab. I do have time. It's a tight timing though. And if I get hit or press a button, it does work. So can maybe go for a, try to catch a tech. Can go for DI, so if I'm in the corner, if I press a button, you'll hit me, but if I do nothing, maybe a DI will work. And then there's maybe some spacing traps. and go into level 3. So, yeah, different things you can do, maybe. So technically, all 3 are ACOSs, but really only one's beneficial. So his medium one will go into level 2, and you can continue the auto combo yourself if you want to follow the predetermined one, or you can make up your own, of course. But on block, he just does nothing, right? So he does nothing, so you don't really benefit from that. The heavy one does confirm into super, so if they block it, right, it won't happen, but obviously you can react to this, right? Like, you can react to whether or not that hits and then continue the pressure yourself, so there's not really a benefit to this one either. The only beneficial one is the light version, because on hit, it'll go into the special, doesn't do much damage, and on block, nothing happens. So you can go ahead and do the same things where drive impact will happen, or you can go into a jab. So here's some examples. First, let me get hit. All right, and if I block, could go for throw. Now, he's actually 0, so you can mash a button, but the timing is pretty tight. You could, of course, go for drive impact. I press a button, it works, but if I keep blocking, go for drive impact. It's pretty interruptible, though. Here's something else to try. You could go for overhead. It's pretty cheeky, and then, of course, if it hits, you still do the auto combo. Now, this one, the timing is actually pretty difficult, but you can do command grab. So you'll go command grab. Unfortunately, you have to do the modern version. It's the only version available, but it'll still work. So yeah, at least getting the special cancel. I'm not sure why, but the timing's really tight. And then, yeah. Maybe you could even go for just a simple spacing trap. And yeah, so some stuff you could do with the light version. So all 3 are technically hit confirms, but really only one matters, and that's because the heavy one does hit confirm, but one, it's actually inefficient because there's scaling applied to it. If you notice the crouch medium kick, it should be 80%, but there's an extra scaling, so it's 70%. It's actually just better to just do that, and you'll get more damage. You'll get 48 instead of the auto combo, which is 44. And then also, it's unsafe on block, right? So there's not really an option select you can do because it's unsafe on block. Her medium one will auto-confirm into level 1, but this is definitely something you could react to, right? You know, like you can react to whether or not that hits, and it's not even that the second hit will, like, the special cancel will work, because it's a true block string, so they can't even press a button even if they wanted. Her light version does have its uses, though. So it'll go into stock if you hit, but do nothing on block. So that means you can ACOS it. So some things you can do, just like the other characters, you can drive rush and grab them. Now you are minus, though, so they can press a button. It's kind of tight, though. So let's try that again. So you can press a button, but as you can see, it's tight. You can do DI, so DI versus if they press a button, it'll do that. By the way, it does that for the first one too, just to make sure. It does do the auto combo. And you could also go for it anyway, so, right, that works on hit. But you do the light version on block. The auto combo does the medium version, so the damage isn't that much different. So she's got it. I don't think it's groundbreaking, but she's got some. So Ken's light AC is not an OS because it does the same thing, both on hit and block. His heavy version is an ACOS, but it's pretty easy to react to on classic. Also, it's not very optimal. So it won't do anything on block, but on hit, it'll react for you. The medium version is an ACOS because on block, it does nothing, but on hit, it'll do a combo. It does decent damage. Of course, you can follow it up differently. So there's different things you can do, but something you could do maybe, you can DI, you can go for a fireball. You got to do the modern input. Ken does not have classic fireball, but you definitely need to do something because you're minus 14. So here's some examples. I don't think Ken has too many, but you could do DI on hit. But once again, this is a true block string, so you can't press a button. You can also do OD fireball. So the main thing is, I don't know what it is, but the timing for Ken's ACOS is really, really difficult, and you don't really get much for it. So even though he has one, it's not really good or reliable. So like many characters, she does have a light ACOS. On hit, goes into a simple special, but on block, it does nothing. So you can do all those things where you drive rush. On block, on hit, you'll go into the auto combo. So pretty simple. Her medium auto combo does go into a super. Pretty good damage too. And technically it's an ACOS because on block it does nothing, but if they block it, you're minus 12 and there's no sort of cancel or anything you can do, so you're just in big trouble. So it's a good auto combo, but you definitely don't want them to block it. Her heavy auto combo does option select. On hit, goes into level 3. Damage isn't the best though, about 4,000. On block, she'll do nothing, right? So that means we could DI, we could drive rush, we could do all sorts of things. We could, do Kimberly things. However, they could also press a button. And that's good for us because we're +8, right? So we could do something like this. Into the auto combo. Both auto combos. Damage is pretty good. And you don't have to do the auto combo, right? You can go into command grab or whatever you want. So here's a simple pressure string. If I sit there and block, you go for the throw. But if I get hit, then you go for the throw anyway. Same input leads to both outcomes. Same thing if I press a button. Right into the throw. So simple pressure. Of course, you can press a button in between the third thing because you're minus. You could drive rush into a throw. There is a gap. It's a little tight on timing, but it does work. Well, how about overhead? That works. And if I get hit, we still do it. And the auto combo on hit, into the super, on block. You can do some run pressure, and on trade, into the auto combo. So in order to do it, you need to make sure that you're mashing the heavy and medium auto combo at the right time. All 3 of Lily's auto combos do option select. Lily's light auto combo on hit. It'll hit confirm, but on block, nothing will happen, right? Now, what's good about this is you can go offer crouch jab or stand jab. You can go right into it. So balanced choice Capcom made is that you cannot chain cancel into a light auto combo, which applies to a lot of modern characters. This means that while on classic, you can chain cancel into a crouch light kick as a frame trap, like that, and go into your combo. But on modern, if they try the same thing, so I have a recording, if they try the same thing, I can't, well actually it'll beat it. I can beat it because that's not a chain cancel, right? I'm not really sure why they chose this balance decision. It honestly feels more like a bug to me. So maybe in season 3 onward, that'll change. Keep an eye out for it. So this pressure isn't actually real, but you can do the auto combo where on hit, it'll do the auto combo, but on block, you can go for that, right? So if I were to have them sometimes do it, it'll still do the auto combo. Now, this is technically fake because if I set the count to 2, he can actually hit me out of it. So you can go for EX or light SBD, but if they're afraid to press buttons though, it'll work. Now her medium version does the exact same thing as her heavy auto combo, but there's a problem. So if I try for it, I can actually get jabbed out of it. And in fact, there's a 6-frame gap. So crouching light punch, Gief's is 6 frames. So if I do it again, it's gonna trade, right? But Gief's stand light kick is 7 frames, so it will work and go into level 2. So it's the same rule where if they keep blocking, nothing will happen, and you might want to space it. So this will work though off drive rush, right? So I will turn on crouch light kick and I'll do something like this, and it will work, right? Because suddenly that 6-frame gap is now a 2-frame gap because you gain an extra 4 frames advantage for drive rush. So her medium one does work, but it costs 5 bars to get it working right. I think modern Lily players already knew about this, but on hit, the heavy auto combo, we'll go into super. But on block, nothing happens. If they press a button though, it'll also confirm into super. A common thing people like to do against the heavy auto combo is DI. Well, this says no to that. And that one actually did 4950 because there's 450 white damage and then 4500 regular damage. And that's because there's no auto combo scaling. So it did 100%, no input required. All right, so recordings, inputs are on the right. So let's go ahead and play the first one. If I press a button, it'll go into the auto combo. And if I block, you can go into Sphinx, right? And I do the modern input because execution, but you don't have to. Here's another. Goes into level 2. Very expensive, but there's a lot of little traps there, right? If I stop blocking low, or I try to DP, it doesn't let me, right? So you can catch them that way, because that's called a fuzzy low. All right, back to her light version. So let's just say I sit there, goes for an SVD. There's a lot of time, but you'll catch a jab with punish counter. And you can always go for EX, and of course if I get hit, goes right into the auto combo. So I'd say her light and heavy are pretty good. The medium one's just a little too expensive and doesn't actually frame trap. So Luke mainly has 2. His medium one is not because it does the same thing both on hit and block. It does go into level 2 on hit, but on block, does the same thing. So there's no option select there. The heavy version is an option select, and the thing is, I don't think you can really react to whether or not that first hit connects. Like, I don't think you can react to it. You can try, but the game does it for you. It's not really the strongest, and the reason is, if you look at the damage scaling, so we'll go in here, and it starts at 60% and only does 4,000. And that's just applied. That's not because it's an auto combo. If I do this manually, it'll also start at 60%. So it's really weird. I think they assigned it just for this auto combo, because if you do the same damage thing with this, you're gonna do a lot more. That's 80%, so you'll do 4,800. So you'll do a lot more. So the thing is, like, for only one more bar, you could just go into, you could play conventionally, right? And you get the world by drive rushing. So you probably wouldn't really use the heavy version. Luke does have a light version though. And actually, I think it's the only light auto combo in the game that goes into a super, but nothing happens on block. So nothing happens on block, which means you can ACOS it. So just like other characters with lights, you can go for DI on block versus if they press a button. You'll do the auto combo. You can drive rush into throw. You can jab in time, but timing's tight. Timing's tight. Yeah, I traded there, so yeah, like I said, there we go. All right, we got it there. So yeah, timing's tight. If you space it, you can do kind of a little fireball frame trap here and make it safe, too far to really punish. And then of course, if I were to press a button, still goes into the auto combo. So with the proper spacing, it might work. You got cheeky things like overhead. So can go for that. And then of course, if I press a button, it'll still do the auto combo. So yeah, decent damage. And it does go to all into supers. So to like close out a round, you could go into level 3. Not the most damage, but you need to close out a round. That'll do it. For Bison's auto combos, he's got his medium. Which does a ton of damage. On block, though, you are minus 25. So I guess it's an ACOS, but don't use it because you are very punishable on block. His light auto combo might get you to master rank. You can just mash it, and it loops into itself over and over. If they do ever start blocking it, the special does not come out, which then you can do the other stuff. They can jab trade you out of the auto combo. You can still frame trap, but not through the auto combo. Bison's heavy auto combo does option select. On block versus hit. And to level 3 if you have the meter. On the surface, this doesn't seem too useful. For this combo, you're 0 on block here, right? Which means that if they mash jab, they beat you out every time. But you could drive rush it. And suddenly you get the frame trap. You could also drive rush cancel it. Well, that actually worked because it traded. Let's have him block twice. Try it again. Oops. And it will frame trap. So there's multiple ways you can actually force it to frame trap. We could just loop the pressure. I win. Or if they press a button at any point, level 3. All right, on to the recordings. Inputs are on the right. Okay, I know I can't press a button. Uh-oh. All right. Can't press. Can't press. Can't block. Let's keep it going. Uh-oh. All right, we'll look at the light combo now. So DI. And it'll do the combo on hit. Let's see what I got here. That overhead. And you can mix it up with high-low mix-up. This could sometimes be good against delayed tech. There's so many different mix-ups you can do, I can't cover them all. It is a little meter expensive, but it's now a new option. Modern Bison is very strong because he could do almost everything Classic can do. Technically, Mai's medium and heavy auto combos are ACOSs, but they're very unsafe on block. Minus 12. So they will hit confirm into the super, but they're pretty unsafe. Damage isn't so bad. That'll be 4,500. By the way, the heavy auto combo, you can end with something different. You can end with a different thing. You don't have to go into her level 3. But like many other characters, her light auto combo is an ACOS. On hit versus on block, it does not go into the special. So you can put any special behind it where it'll do cartwheel on hit. But on block, you can do a fireball and then combine it, right? You could also do DI. You could do DI on hit, but on block, DI, well, on block, DI comes out if you do it right. You can drive rush as well. You are minus though. Just like every other character, you got drive impact. On block versus on hit. Goes into the auto combo, so you can do that. You got drive rush as well. On block, you'll do a drive rush. You do have a moment where you can interrupt it, and the timing is a little tight, but not so much. She's -2. On hit, the auto combo will still work. She's got fake throw pressure, but still throw pressure. Where she goes into the throw if you keep blocking, and if I were to try pressing a button, we'll go into the auto combo, get to the corner, and if I'm really tech happy, well, you can shimmy there and go for a heavy kick. And then this string right here is just kind of nonsense. So you space it out and you can do a fireball, right? But if I were to press a button, well, when you press a button, it'll go into the auto combo, right? So it's a spaced fireball where on block, well, you get a fireball, but on hit, you push them to the corner. So it's free pressure. Modern Mai only. Because the cartwheel animation's so long, you could hit confirm to super. And because there's so much time, you can confirm it yourself. I'll do it again. Just like that. This may be one of the best auto combo option selects in the game, just because cartwheel's attached to it. Unfortunately, Manon does not have any. All three of her auto combos do the same thing, both on hit and block. So on hit, she'll do the follow-up. On block, she won't do anything but -12. Her medium version will confirm, but on block, nothing happens, and you could react yourself, right? Her light one does the same thing, both on hit and block. Although it's very good because it gives a knockdown, right? You get a knockdown, dash, and maybe a low or something like that. It's pretty good. No ACOSs. Marissa's heavy auto combo does confirm. Does about 5,000 damage, but on block, very unsafe. So you're not going to use it for an option select. Her medium auto combo does behave differently on hit and block. Nothing happens on block, but on hit, goes into level 3, about 4,300 damage. It is a true block string, so they can't press a button on the second hit, which means that there's no actual reason to this, right? You could actually react yourself, whether or not this hits, and then confirm it yourself, but it'll do it for you. Her light version does have its uses though. On hit, goes into light slam versus on block. Nothing actually happens. And it does in fact frame trap. And it'll confirm if they hit a button, but otherwise do nothing. So some examples, auto combo on hit. If I block, go for a DI. You can mix in Superman. On hit versus on block, go for Superman. You can do that versus if I press a button. And as I said, the medium auto combo works, but you can't press a button in the middle of the second one, so there's not really a use to it. But it will confirm it to the super for you, but you can maybe combine both of them. Where I'll do Superman on block, but that on hit. Rashid's heavy auto combo is an ACOS, but it's not the most damaging. And that's because Mixer adds more scaling before the super. But it's still an unreactable option select. It'll work on hit, but on block, not do anything. The medium auto combo, it's pretty stylish, but doesn't do very much damage, only about 2,800. And then not only that, it's a true block string. This means that even if they wanted to, they can't press a button in between it, which kind of gets rid of the reason to do it. Now, you can make it safe by maybe doing DI or... Oh, don't do EX Mixer. You can do Light Mixer. You could do EX Fireball. So it may not be the most useful, but if you do use it, you need to buffer a special behind it. But like many other characters, he has a light ACOS. On hit, goes into Light Eagle Spike, while on block, does nothing. But this auto light combo is not actually a chain cancel. They can mash a button in between. This is the only auto light in the game that will actually lose on its second attack. I have a few examples, but there's not too many because of that. So that'll work if I keep blocking. I try to press a button, we'll go into it. Of course, I can mash before the throw comes out. And there's one with auto medium. So, and of course, if I press a button, it'll go into the auto combo. So, reuse light auto combo is not an option select. It does the same thing both on hit and block. On hit, on block. It's still pretty good whiff punish though. The auto medium we went over in the main video, it'll go into super on hit, but nothing on block. His heavy auto combo option selects on block, nothing happens, while on hit, into level 3 for decent damage. What's nice about this one is it doesn't cost any drive gauge and it frame traps. And about the same damage. So there's some things you can do with this. On hit, DI on block. Here's a fun little meter dump pressure I came up with. So off throw, I press a button, I take a level 3. So if I keep blocking, I press button at the wrong time, I take a level 2 auto combo. Can't press a button in between there. And you can get more damage than that, it's just the recording, so it went to level 2. And I still can't press buttons. So the main downside I'd say with this is that if you don't have 3 bars, the amount of damage you actually get for the combo is pretty low. For Terry, the only useful ACOS is the light one. The medium one does confirm, but on block, you're very unsafe at -11. Same thing with on hit. The heavy does hit confirm. You'll go to about over 4,000 damage, but on block, very unsafe, -16. The light version is an ACOS though. On hit, goes into burn knuckle, while on block, nothing happens. So examples are pretty limited, but some things, you can go for a throw on block versus on hit. If I press a button, he'll frame trap me. You can do DI on block. But if I press a button, it will confirm. You can do a fireball, especially spaced out. You might get a trade, but if you hit, you'll still go into burn knuckle, so you'll still do the corner carry. You could DRC on block and go for a throw. If I press a button, it'll still auto combo. I can press a button in between, but it's going to be a trade. It's not going to beat me. So it's a little bit better to go for a drive rush. So slight improvement. So for Zangief, he has one auto combo that's literally getting its own video. So that's on hit. And nothing happens on block. So that's all I'm going to say. There's way more you could do with it. That's another video coming out. For Zangief's auto medium, it does confirm into super. So we'll go into super. And it does a decent amount of damage, over 4,000 usually. On block, however, it will not confirm, but it's very negative. Now, There is one setup you can kind of do. So in the latest patch before Season 3, they made Headbutt +8, which means it combos into Crouching Medium Punch, right? So you can actually confirm from Headbutt into it. And the damage you get is okay. The reason it's so low is because of the headbutt scaling, right? Headbutt adds 25% scaling. So what if they block the whole thing? Well, we know that's going to be trouble. The best thing I recommend is make sure you're holding backwards. And the reason is that way you're as far away as possible and the situation occurs pretty quickly. So even though you're minus 31, the situation happens so fast that they may not get a punish, right? So this time I'm going to try to catch jump. So I'm going to do headbutt and then hold backwards. And notice it actually doesn't push me as far away as if he blocked the whole thing. I'll do the same thing. And it pushes me far away. So what if they press a button after blocking? Let's see. So we trade, but the issue is we're only +6, which really sucks because all we can do is this or that. We go to that, and we can do that. Timing's hard, apparently. There we go. And that's literally all you can do. I mean, maybe you can go... It just keeps jabbing, but yeah. So you can't really do much there. So is there really any point to the medium auto combo? Not really. Go down forward, you know, do health stab. It's 7 frames. Right. And you get the, you know, you get the same damage. Even if you wanted to go into level 2, you're going to get a decent amount of damage. You actually get about the same damage. So what is it? 1 more bar? Yeah, just do health stab. Gief's heavy auto combo is really bad. It's just headbutt. And you get like, you know, a little bit of damage, but theoretically, man, if they made his heavy auto combo turn into this and then OD Lariat suit, man, that would be absolutely broken. But it's not like that right now. So the thing is, there's almost no reason to ever use this. You should always go into down forward medium because it also frame trap, right? And the thing is, because the damage scaling is so high on headbutt, you actually can just do the modern super input literally at any point. It'll do the exact same damage as the 720. And that was with the input. And it's the exact same damage.